Imagine you live in Canada. You work 6 days a week but don't get paid regularly. Or you're paid far less than what you were promised. Imagine you're sick but you can't take a day off. Imagine having to live where you work under the rules of your employer with no family nearby. For many low-wage migrant workers who come to Canada on temporary work permits, this happens every day. We're creating conditions that put low-wage temporary migrant workers at risk of exploitation. That's the warning from a new Metcalf Foundation report, Made in Canada, How the Law Constructs Migrant Workers' Insecurity. It's written by lawyer Faraday. In Canada, our use of low-wage migrant workers with temporary immigration status has more than tripled in the past decade. In Ontario, they work as live-in caregivers, as agricultural workers, and in sectors such as hotels, restaurants, food processing, and construction. Since migrant workers don't enjoy the same protections as the rest of us, their position in Canadian workplaces is insecure. They are frequently underpaid, overworked, and denied basic rights like decent housing, health, and safety. The rights they have on paper are often denied in practice. Instead of pathways to permanent residence, we've created pathways to permanent insecurity for low-wage migrant workers. It's a made-in-Canada problem that reflects the way federal immigration laws and provincial employment laws intersect to make it very hard for migrant workers to enforce their right to decent work. At every stage in the labor migration cycle, migrant workers face challenges that are either created through law or sustained because the law fails to adequately prevent practices that are known to undermine workers' security and capacity to enforce their rights. Many migrant workers are charged exorbitant fees to be placed in jobs which they sometimes find do not exist or pay less than what they were promised. They work on permits that tie them to a single employer. They are given very little information, if any, about their rights before they arrive in Canada. Most low-wage migrant workers are non-unionized. They also can't bring their families with them, so they endure years of separation. Most are required to live in their employer's home or in housing provided by the employer. This heightens their isolation and makes them vulnerable. If they complain, they risk losing not only their job, but their housing. They work on time-limited permits and must leave Canada when their permits are up. The only low-wage migrant workers in Ontario who can apply for permanent residence are live-in caregivers, but it takes years and they face the same risks as other temporary migrant workers along the way. Cycling vulnerable migrant workers in and out of the country is not a model for building a sustainable economy. It's time to rethink which workers are eligible for permanent residence. It's time to reform Canada's provincial and federal laws so that migrant workers can have real security and decent work. By ensuring all workers can apply to immigrate and arrive with status, our immigration system can help build a stronger Canada. We've created a made-in-Canada problem, but a made-in-Canada solution is within our grasp. Learn more. Download the report, Made in Canada, How the Law Constructs Migrant Workers' Insecurity at www.metcalffoundation.com.